The United States Constitution requires the President of the United States to submit nominations to the Senate for its advice and consent when placing justices on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was established by Congress in 1789, and since that time, United States presidents have submitted 163 nominations for the court. 125 were confirmed, and 7 of those declined to serve. Of that number, no action was taken on 10. 3 of the nominees' votes were postponed, 12 were withdrawn, and 12, only 12, were rejected. The most recent rejection was in 1987 when President Ronald Reagan nominated Robert H. Bork to fill the position of Justice Powell. The Senate resoundingly rejected Mr. Bork, 58 to 42, hence the phrase borked. President Reagan then nominated Anthony M. Kennedy, who was confirmed 97 votes in his favor and none against. President Trump has made his second nomination, having in February 2017 nominated Neil M. Gorsuch to fill the seat of the late Justice Antonin Scalia. And he was confirmed 54 votes in his favor and 45 against. Now that President Trump has nominated Brett Kavanaugh, a judge in the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, to fill the seat of Justice Kennedy, who President Reagan nominated when Robert Bork was rejected. Most often these nominations are completed without much fanfare or disagreement. However, most recently, perhaps due to the dramatic divide of the political parties, drama seems to be a part of the process. Unfortunately, President Obama in March of 2016 nominated Merrick Garland to fill Justice Scalia's seat, but the Senate took no action and waited until the presidential election when President Trump successfully then nominated Justice Gorsuch. And we have come to the place where in our country the nominee really doesn't matter. It seems that the majority of the Democrats are going to vote against Mr. Kavanaugh, and likewise the majority of the Republicans are going to vote for him because he was nominated by a president of their party, and likewise, if the roles were reversed, the opposite would necessarily hold true. And looking back, for example, to note most liberal justices, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was voted in 96 for and 3 against. Well, only a few years earlier, when Anton Scalia was nominated by President Reagan, and Mr. Scalia was perhaps the most conservative of justices in the modern era, he was approved 98 votes to nothing. So you had Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a liberal, and Anton Scalia, a conservative, approved overwhelmingly by the Senate. Times certainly have changed.